Greetings and welcome to your open elective course, Stress Management. So, today we will be starting off with understanding what is stress. We'll look at the different type of theories that talk about stress. We'll look at how we respond to stress, how we can, identify stress. So, to begin with, uh, let's just look at how we respond to stress at certain times, or what are the phrases that we use at times to, understand stress. Yeah, you might be experiencing when you're under frustration or stress, you would be saying, you would have heard people say, or maybe you yourself would have used these phrases like, I'm under a lot of pressure, my heart is racing, my palms are sweating, I'm feeling stressed, I have a lot of deadlines, don't stress me, don't freak out, I'm stressed out, right? So you would have experienced yourself telling it to somebody, or you yourself have experienced saying such phrases when you are under pressure or frustrated or under stress. So now let us try to look and understand what stress actually means. Let's look at this definition of stress, which states that stress is any circumstances that threaten or perceived to threaten one's well-being and that thereby tax one's coping ability. Okay, it says that it is a circumstance that threaten or are perceived to threaten. At times I feel like, we uh, perceive to be threatened rather than actually under threatening situation. That's what happened when we are under stress. Now there are different components to understanding, stress, or what to understanding meaning of stress. So to begin with, there's something known as an environmental stimulus, right? Something in the environment that's triggering or causing you to be under stress or under pressure. Now, it could be, a high stress job, or it could be like academic stress where you have to submit a lot of assignments on time, or all your teachers or your respective uh, subject teachers have given you a lot of assignments and you have to submit it at a particular, deadline. All of this could cause you, to experience stress. Now, after experiencing this environmental stimulus, you also could be experiencing or having a physical response to this pressure or the stress or feeling of stress that you are experiencing. Now, your body would experience it or react to it in different ways. You would have experienced, sweating. You might feel like, palms are sweating, your hands may turn cold, or you might feel like your heart is, beating faster. So, all these are physical responses when we are under stress. Next is that there will be an interaction between the environment and the person. When you're under stress, there is an interaction between the environment and the person. So maybe the person is not stressed under a certain situation, but when he comes to a particular environment, he or she comes to a particular environment or particular situation, they might be experiencing stress. So, like this example given here, I feel stressed when I have to make financial decisions at work, but other types of decisions don't stress me, right? So you would be very carefree, when you're at home, when you're around friends, partying and all of that. But when you're at college or at university, you would be experiencing kind of a little amount of stress because you have a lot of deadlines to meet. So these all together work to, create stress or something that we refer to as stress, when we are experiencing such kind of pressure. Now, there are a lot of researches done on stress. All right. So, this particular stress conducted by a psychologist called Lasipos, he talked about, he started to study, how how stresses affect. So he kind of tried to understand stress and how we experience stress, and he found out that even their minor stresses, like our day-to-day stresses, like moving around, doing your chores, your activities, that is your responsibilities. When you're trying to fulfill those responsibilities, you can experience stress. So he referred to these as daily hassles. So uh, basically these minor stresses can later on add on to something, or even add up onto a stressful major traumatic event, right? And like a divorce or a disaster also could be a major traumatic event, where you would experience something very difficult, and you have your daily day-to-day stress that is going to add up, and you're going to experience a tremendous amount of stress, and you're not able to cope with anything. Then the experience of feeling stress depends largely on our cognitive processes, how we are perceiving it, right? How we are looking at a particular problem. Now, for someone going on a date, uh, it would be exciting, right? Or for another person who is planning for her date, it could be terrifying, right? So how we perceive stress or how we try to understand these events are very subjective, and it will definitely have an effect on the event that is occurring, and that definitely could also add up to a stress. Now there are different types of stresses. So the four major types that we are looking at is, frustration, conflict, life changes, and pressure. Okay. So frustration. Let's just try to understand what is frustration. So it is something that occurs in any situation in which pursuit of some goal is thwarted. So suppose you had to come to college today morning, and you left home pretty early, but still you, had to reach at 9:30. You had to be in class at 9:30, and there was a very heavy traffic where, you were not able to reach on time. That is kind of causing you, getting making you frustrated, right? Because you have to be there on time, otherwise you're losing your attendance. Maybe that will end up, you will end up having my attendance short. So that is kind of frustrating, right? So that is what you refer to as frustration. Now the next type is conflict, right? Conflict occurs when two or more incompatible motivations or behavioral impulses compete for expression. And it could be, like you have a dilemma. You say, no, I have two different things, like now I have to, go to college every day. I have to study, but at the same time, somebody who has a, who has to fend for themselves, they also have to look at, going for work and taking care of themselves. Maybe that is going to conflict with them, and that might add up to their stress. The third one is life changes, right? Life changes are noticeable alterations in one's living circumstances that require readjustment, right? Now, like somebody who has to relocate from one place to another, for them, it is going to be a major thing, right? Because all this while they were so used to the locality, the culture, the people, they were so comfortable, but now they are causing a discomfort in themselves because they're moving away. They have to now make new friends. They have to try to understand the culture. They have to mingle with people, and they have to adjust. You have to readjust them. So these life changes also could, add up to stress. The final one is pressure. Pressure involves expectations or demands that one behave in a certain way. Pressure to perform or to comply. You have a pressure to, behave in a certain way. As a university student, when you're in university, you are, expected to behave in a certain way. Or, I would give you a better example rather, where recently students had written NEET exams, right? All these competitive exams, JEE, NEET, right? So students would be under pressure to perform better, so that they have to get a medical seat or an engineering seat. So they have to fulfill their parents' expectations, and they have to move on, maybe get a better career, a job, and so on, right? So that could cause kind of pressure for them. So saying that, like we experience pressure, frustration, stress, all of that, and our body is definitely going to respond to this stress, right? Sometimes people can also fall sick because of the stress that they are experiencing. Now let's just try to look. If you just try to look at this picture on the PPT on the screen, there are numbers with the body parts, if you can just look at this image. So the first one starting with your nervous system, right? your nervous system starts responding to stress, where the heart may beat faster, your blood pressure rises to make your body ready to actually fight that threat which we are perceiving, right? So we might feel like we are under danger, it's a dangerous situation, or there's a threat for us. So I have to fight. So your body starts pumping faster, your heart starts pumping faster, and your blood pressure may rise. The second one is your musculoskeletal system, like your muscles and your skeletal system, where it will start becoming very tense and it could even create a lot of tension in your body. And you can end up having a headache or, pain in the certain areas of your body because of the stress that you're experiencing. The third one is respiratory system, which is breathing faster, right? Your breathing quickens up. You try to take a quicker breath. Yeah. So the fourth one is cardiovascular system, where again your heart rate increases. Then fifth one is your endocrine system, where signals sent from glands to the body causes release of cortisol into the body to fight the perceived threat. Now, cortisol is the hormone we commonly refer to as stress hormone, which actually is released when we are under threat, because the body perceives that we are under threat and it releases so that it could fight the threat, right? So it happens where in the endocrine system. Then the sixth one is the gastrointestinal system, where your eating habits may change, the feelings of butterflies in your stomach. All of this could be because of the response that is given by the gastrointestinal system, right? When you're anxious, when you are under stress, you could experience all these physical signs and symptoms, I would say. Now, there are different types of stress or stressors, right? Sometimes stress is good and sometimes stress is bad, right? So we call it eustress and distress. A positive stress is referred to as eustress because it energizes you, it helps you reach a goal, whereas a distress or a negative stress is something that makes you sick or it does not allow you to reach a particular goal. So in positive stress or eustress, you're motivated. It is more focused on your you're more focused on your energy, and where it is also perceived as are within our capabilities to or coping abilities to finish that task or reach that end goal by finishing off that task at that particular time. Then you also kind of feel excited at the same time you are stressed. Then this particular stress, that is the eustress, is going to help you improve your performance, and it is a short, only for a short period of time. Next, you have negative stress, right? Let's try to understand what actually happens in negative stress. It is definitely going to cause you anxiety. It is going to be very, pressurized. You are feeling you have this, like we discussed earlier. We kind of we kind of have these experiences of physical, lethargy and all of that, tiredness and all of that because of it. So it can either be shorter or it can be long. That is the distress. Now, distress is something where distress happens when there's something where you don't have to, or you cannot tackle those problems or those stresses, where even if you're doing certain things, it is not helping you resolve those stress or those problems, be uncomfortable or unpleasant feelings. Next, it is going to decrease your performance, and it also can lead to physical and mental health problems. So we might think that stress is not a big deal, but it might seem like something mental or cognitive or what to say psychological, but definitely it is going to have a lot of effect on your body, both physically and mentally, right? If not taken care of properly. Right. So let's try to understand. I would want to give this example of how eustress and distress works, right? So let's just look at this example. When an adolescent girl with limited social and financial support might view being pregnant as a negative stress, while a middle-aged woman with adequate financial and social support might see pregnancy as an exciting and hopeful time. Like the same thing, right? The same event. How can it be stressful for two different people? Like we discussed earlier, it is actually subjective. Now we have different sources of stress, like your environment, your social pressures, your physiological reason, your thoughts, your cognition. All of this can be sources of your stress, right? Like we discussed earlier, there's an environmental stimulus to it. So the environment always has demanding, is always demanding, so that you have to adjust to those needs or the challenges that you experience in your environment. When you're not able to adjust to those demands uh, put forth by the environment that you are in, then you are going to experience stress. Then the second one is social pressures like deadlines, completing priorities, interpersonal conflicts, financial problems, etc. So the physiological ones would be inadequate sleep, illnesses, poor nutrition, lack of exercise, etc., etc., right? You would be hearing a lot of videos on social media sites where talks about the importance of sleep, the importance of good having good food, nutritious food, and also you have to exercise. These days, people are so health conscious that they go try to be very fit, right, and fine, so that they can cope with all these daily stresses that they have. So it is very important to look after your body, yourself, to tackle these problems. Then your thoughts, definitely. That's something that we cannot avoid as humans, very unique to us. We don't stop thinking, right? And sometimes even overthink. All of us, try to overthink about a certain issue, and then maybe that's going to, stress you more because because of those thoughts, right? So thoughts have the ability to, uh, you know, uh, calm you down. At the same time, it also has the ability to stress you. So it is always recommended that you think about things that are pleasant, that kind of calm you when you're under pressure. So try to figure out what could be helpful in tackling such issues. Right. So I have this small activity for all of you watching me. Try to, what I recommend is, if you want to tackle your stress, right, daily stress, you just take out a piece of paper, and jot down all the triggers that you experience in your day-to-day life. Maybe today I woke up and like maybe I woke up, I had to do a lot of work. I came to work, I had to travel back home. I had to do my household chores. Again, I had different things to cater to. Now, at the end of the day, I can note down what were the trigger situations in my day to day that has caused me, stress, or kind of that made me frustrated and all. So these kind of events, right, or situations that could have upset you, or that could have caused you to be angry, or that could have triggered you, is something that is referred to as trigger situations, which could also be a personal source of your stress. So it is very important to identify this personal sources of stress, so that you will be able to focus on it and tackle those issues. So let's just try to look at this small video. It's a 2 minutes video, and understand what happens. So you try to watch this video and identify what's the trigger situation here. Okay.
Get really immature. See, this is why nobody's like all right, go on. I'm gonna just stop talking. Finally. But this is taking forever. Stretch, it ain't no in-flight movie or nothing. The kingdom of far, far away, donkey. That's where we're going. Far, far away. All right, I get it. Just moved on. Whoa, well, find a way to entertain yourself. Oh, 5 minutes. Could you not be yourself for 5 minutes? Are we there yet? Oh,
Right. So yeah. So you were able to watch this particular video, right? So you were able to understand what is actually going on. They were traveling. It's a small snippet from the movie Shrek, and you were able to understand, right, what actually happened. Okay, just a moment. I'm trying to move my screen. Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, let's just try to understand, why do we react to trigger situations? We looked at what trigger situations and we also watched a video on trigger situations. So let's just try to understand why we are acting to trigger situation or situation that we perceive as triggers or something that's triggering. We always blame it on somebody else for all the stresses or all the problems or troubles that we have, right? That's common thing that we see, like so human to thing to do. Now, in the ancient times, I would say, even stress, looking at stress this way or behaving certain way has definitely has an evolutionary perspective, right? So when humans, like early humans, when we did not have a proper shelter or tools to, take care of us, we would used to live on trees and caves and all of that, right? So during those times, it was very important for us to always be on an alert mode, and we had to equip ourselves to respond to these trigger situations. So our body would prepare ourselves to respond to these situations, which would be a threat to us, like from to protect ourselves from dangerous animals, from other enemy attacks and all. So if you look at, people were always like, the early humans were always under stress because of these triggering problems. Now, uh, you know, now in today's world, present times, you know, uh, there would be a lot of perceived threats, right? Like in our colleges, your families, your around your friends, peers. When you're watching, when you're online on your social media sites, and also within your community, you would be constantly under stress because there are triggering situations that around you, right? So constantly, I think on a day-to-day basis, we are being triggered due to a lot of other things that we see around us. So our bodies are equipped to respond to these trigger situations. So how we do that is either we fight the trigger situation, we fly or flee away from such situation, that is referred to as flight. We run away from that situation, or we freeze. Right? We just stay there. So we all know that story of the boy and the bear, right? The boy pretended to be dead, and when the bear was there, bear did not harm him and just moved away. So that was a freeze reaction. Either you fly, and the friend, he literally, flew from that situation. He climbed on the tree and protected himself. And sometimes that at that particular situation, I cannot fight the bear, and you choose the right reaction at the right time. Now, these reactions were kind of helpful, like I mentioned, in our prehistoric times or in for our early humans. So, what actually happens is when you are under a trigger situation, your adrenaline is secreted. That's a hormone. Adrenaline hormone is secreted in your body. Your respiration starts to increase. Your muscles start to tense, and your heart rate and the blood pressure increases, and it will start moving towards the periphery of the body, and will give you kind of energy to run fast or fight or flee from that situation. So your body is preparing to uh, you know, uh, to fight that situation or to tackle that problem at hand. Now, before we end this session, I would want all of you to ponder over something and try to understand when you felt like lost control due to a trigger, and what was actually the reason behind you to react to that situation in a certain way. Okay, so with that, I think we will end today's session. See you all in the next session with more, interesting discussions about stress and how we can manage stress. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day.